So recently in the syndicate, a member brought up the fact that he was unsure about the path forward in terms of making music licensing his full-time job. And the issue was he was getting involved in a career path that might have been lucrative, but he wasn't exactly excited about it. He really wanted to do music licensing, but of course he had this sort of doubt of, well, music licensing is a little bit riskier than going the sort of tried and true go to college, get a training, get a job sort of a path, right? And it sparked a really interesting debate in the group, and I thought I should bring it to your guys' attention, at least my 2 cents, on essentially the two paths that you can take to make music licensing your full-time job. The first path is obviously the one that I took, and it's the one that I recommend for the most part, which is essentially you accept failure is not an option, and you just put the gas pedal down and you 100% commit to music licensing right now. Now, you might have to do that alongside having a day job, having some independent contract work, maybe just having some savings that you can sort of live on. Really reduce your monthly expenses as much as you possibly can, literally living on a shoestring budget as much as possible to make it possible to do this. But that's obviously option one. That's essentially what I did. I was so sick and tired of having the day job, working for startup companies, being abused by managers and bosses, and just working for people that I felt had no idea what they were doing. And I wanted to just work for myself, and I really wanted to make music my full-time job. So I basically just said, failing is not an option. And in fact, that was my specific, it was basically a fear motivator for me. And I really just said to myself, I will do anything to avoid having to get back into that day job world. I will be I will clean up streets, I will clean up toilets, I'll do whatever I have to do. I will certainly just never want to go into a day job where I have to say good morning to a boss or a manager that I don't respect and I don't feel valued, and I really am not living up to my full potential in a situation like that. So I wanted to make sure whatever I did in life, even if it wasn't music, I just could avoid that. So I really had that kind of fear burning behind me, and I just didn't accept failure. It was just gas pedal down every day. Just keep cranking out music, keep having the faith, keep putting in my time and my hours, and eventually my months and years that eventually built up my catalog to the point where the royalties started to build up. Okay, so that was my path forward. Now I understand those of you that are not in a position to be able to do that are wondering, what's the other path then? If I can't commit that much right now because I have other obligations, bills to pay, mouths to feed, all that stuff, I can't do that. Well, the second best way to go about making music licensing your full-time job is going into maybe a more quote-unquote stable career path. Maybe there are so obviously risks in every career path, but something, you want to go get a day job, being an engineer, an accountant, whatever, right? And it's a little bit more, there's a little clearer of a path forward for you in that direction. If you're going to do something like that and you're going to go get a job, start a career, and it might not be something you're exactly passionate about, it's not like where your heart and soul is. Obviously, music is where your heart and soul is. All I will say is you better make a ton of money at it, okay? If you're going to make that trade-off, right, and you're going to go get a sort of steady day job to pay the bills, make sure it's an extremely lucrative field, okay? If you're going to make this sort of kind of compromise in your life where you're deciding you're going to spend time working towards a career or a job that you're not that excited about and you're not making that much money yet, that will absolutely eat you alive inside. Okay, the reason why I think you should just go for something that is going to be, I'm talking at least 60, 70, 80K a year, hopefully six figures if you can get into a situation like that. Go for jobs in industries that pay and pay well, okay? Reason being is because if you sort of are frugal and make a lot of money in your career that maybe you're not that passionate about, what that does is it provides freedom for you down the road, okay? Maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe even sooner, it depends. But at least if you're making tons and tons of money and able to save a lot and put some investment into some different areas so that you can actually have some passive income growing for yourself, it allows you to have that freedom down the road to have a lot more free time to pursue music licensing, okay? So that's what I recommend. If you can't go 100%, go for music licensing right now, and you need to go, and let's say, and a lot of this is geared towards you younger guys, if you're kind of in your early 20s, going to college, or you're getting started in your careers, that's what I would say. If you're not going to go for music licensing right now, 100% commit to it, and you need to go get a job to pay the bills, you got a family, right? That kind of a thing. All I would say is just make sure, if your heart's not in it, make sure the money's in it. Okay, get a lot of money. Be as greedy as you possibly can with the income that you're going to get from that kind of a situation. Because I have a lot of students in the syndicate and the master course who are later on in life, 50s, 60s, even older, that made a lot of money, did really well for themselves in the sort of corporate world. And now, because they've sort of saved and invested and done well for themselves, they now have that luxury of not having to work so much, and they can spend a lot more time on music licensing. Now, I don't want to scare you. You don't have to necessarily wait till you're in your 50s or 60s to do this, but I would just definitely say that is the only other path forward for you. Okay, if you go get a job you're not that excited about and you're making average, kind of just getting by money, where in the future are you going to be able to save enough to put it away to start music licensing? That's really going to be tough. I mean, it's possible, but again, reducing your expenses is really the only way to be able to do that. I mean, you really got to do that. I mean, no matter how much money you're making, whatever your salary is, you should be reducing your monthly expenses as much as you possibly can. Okay, if you can live on less, live on less. You're going to be actually much happier in the long run for it, and you'll be able to put more away, put more money into some investments, whatever you feel would be wise for you to have that passive income moving forward. So that's just my 2 cents on the path forward to do well in this industry, and that's the only way that I've really seen it done, is one of those two paths. So I hope this is useful for those of you that are interested in making music licensing your full-time job.